but perhaps maybe we should talk about something a bit more basic today. And I think Khaled told me that we're getting a lot of, or rather he's getting a lot of emails or requests to do a video on how to build your collection. So let's say you've just found out that you like watches, and I'm very sorry for you. But now that you do, like, what do you do with that passion, right? So how would you start it off? I mean, like, there's always like the standard kind of like system, like, oh, you buy a Rolex as your first watch, and then maybe you venture into like something a bit more fun or funky, perhaps maybe a Hublot or maybe a JLC, and then you like make your way towards the Trinity and see where that path takes you. That being said, is that what you would advise today, Alex?
I think building a collection today is easier than 20 or 30 years ago, because watches have come into mainstream. It's no longer like a little geeky thing reserved for a few scholars. So information is available very easily. You go online, you go to forums. There's a lot of watch shops and dealers around, so you can actually go and see them. You have the traveling exhibition by auction houses. So I think it's easier to learn. Where to start? And I'll tell you it's just such a cliche and basic. Buy what you like. Don't buy the hype. Don't buy something to impress somebody else. It's just stupid. You have to buy for yourself. Collecting is a very personal and egotistical thing. I would say try to buy first what your budget allows, but always buy the best of what your budget allows. It's better to buy the best $5,000 vintage Omega than to buy a over-polished, beaten up Daytona, which sounds like a good deal, but it's not a good deal because you'll never be able to get rid of it. So always buy the best you can get. And start small. Tastes change. You learn more as you go forward, etc. And I think there's one thing which is really cool is today you have a lot of these very small micro brands, as we call them, that come out with very interesting designs. And I think it's pretty cool when you're young, starting watch lover, budding collector, to try out these micro brands, because it just helps you affirm your tastes, because you have very classical pieces, you have very vintage looking pieces, you have very out there pieces. You can go from Baltic to Furlan Mare to Space One, which is, and you can just taste, you can test your taste. That was difficult to say. And then start going forward. I think no, today it's much more fun and easier to build a collection.
Surely you can't only build a collection randomly, like buying what you like, right? Because you inadvertently end up with a collection of either very out there watches or very classical watches with maybe not a lot of room to maneuver around occasions, right? So like you may not have the perfect dress watch, you may not have enough sports watch, you may not have a daily tool watch. Would you, or do you think that these traditional roles no longer exist? It's just, you can wear I don't know, what's a weird watch? You can wear an HM to a business meeting, to the beach, and anywhere in between.
I think you need to adapt to your personality, but I don't think you need to say, okay, I need a dress watch, I need a sports watch, I need a design watch, No, your taste is your taste. And in today's world, people are much more flexible on the way they dress, they look, etc. So I think if you want to only collect super creative pieces from, MBNF or Urwerk or De Beytoun, fine. If you just want to have Patek Calatravas from the 1950s, fine as well. as long as it is your taste and that's what puts a smile on your face. What do you think?
I mean, I think we all know his answer, right? You buy a Journe, then you buy another Journe, you buy a third Journe, and then you just keep buying Journes, right?
Ask him what he's wearing today.
Well, finally I got my first Rolex. So
The ex-Journe guy.
Yeah, the ex-Journe guy.
I still buy what I like. I've started that way, and I still do that.
Wait, is he sending us like subtle hints?
No,
that, like
I'm
he's
just-
no longer into Journe. He's into
The man
Rolex
previously known as the Journe
No,
guy.
man
you
previously
have to always like look. It's you can like a lot of things from one brand, and by coincidence, you have a lot of watches from said brand. It could be your entire collection, maybe, I don't know, but it doesn't shut down, and it shouldn't shut down the doors for anything else. You find, you can say, okay, I don't like these 3-4 brands, but if they have a watch that's worth noting, then there's nothing wrong with that. You have to acknowledge when someone does something good. But for me, I would say you buy what you like, but also take it slow and one step at like climb a ladder. Especially if you're relatively new. I know the feeling is like, okay, I have to catch up. I just found out what a tourbillon is. I'm gonna go buy one. I'm gonna go spend this amount of money.
I don't think that you represent the average collector, Mr.
I
$100,000
remember-
budget for your first
I-
watch. You know,
no,
like
no,
maybe
no,
we're talking
no.
closer to like what Alex was saying, a $5,000 Omega.
Right.
But
So,
like,
but
I just found out what a tourbillon is. I must have one. Is that how you started?
No. Person who buys. I remember the first time I laid eyes on a tourbillon. I was scrolling through one of those gray market watch sites, and there was. I was like, sort by highest price, and I see $50,000. I'm like,
course
well,
you
okay, why is this $50,000?
Yeah.
It was Zenith with a tourbillon.
It was one of those DeFis, wasn't it?
No, it was one of the nicer ones, not the default ones. It was one of the classical ones, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
The one with the gimbal, the Christopher Columbus.
No, that
No.
came out later. No.
Yeah, I don't remember which one, but it made me wonder why is it priced this way? And then I found out that it's a tourbillon. Did I want to eventually own a tourbillon? Yes, but I'm not going to go out of my way to, instead what I ended up doing is you work your way up the ladder, both in the price of the watch that you're getting, like the next one. I think that's normal that once you've accomplished your 5 or 10, you feel like you can just do it again, so you end up going to 15 and 20, or at least you have that push and urge to do so. And buy one watch, let it sit with you, enjoy it, appreciate it.
What must be the criteria for that watch? Obviously, you can afford it. Obviously, you can buy it. But like, do you have any other criteria? Because Alex's was basically you must like it, and you must be able to afford it, and it must be of high quality in the category in which you're targeting,
I bought
right?
watches that I couldn't afford, so I can't really say the same. Criteria,
No, because like that's the whole
Well, if
point
you
of
bought
this,
them,
right?
you could
Like,
afford them.
no.
Then you couldn't buy them. Even maybe you borrowed money. But
Yes.
then you had the means of paying back that loan. It's still affordable. It's like
a 30-year loan is a 30-year loan, bro. So like,
There you go.
I don't know what to tell you. You know?
Yeah, we've established that we're homeless.
Yeah,
That's fine.
exactly. Nice watches, but homeless.
Yes. Sorry, what was your question again?
What is the criteria?
The criteria. Something you like, make sure it fits your taste or what you believe is your taste at that time.
You shouldn't necessarily be able to afford it, so don't let the price tag stop you. Okay, keep going.
Yeah, I mean, you could try to make well, if you can't afford it and you're not, I don't want to open that.
You heard it here first, huh? If you can't afford it, mortgage your house, sell your kidney, do whatever you got to do, just get it. Okay. So you like it.
You like it. It speaks to your taste. Make sure you're buying it for yourself, so that if no one sees it, you're still happy.
Yeah.
Because today it's so easy for you to feel like you want something just because everyone else does, and then you quickly realize that no, I want something different.
Yeah.
And that can be a costly mistake. So don't do that. Don't regret. If you bought something and you liked it for the time that you had it, and then you change your mind, maybe you lost money on it. It's part of the journey. Watches are not there for you to make money on. If you do, bravo. But if you don't, that's the normal thing.
Perfectly normal, yeah.
Yeah.
There's one thing you said which actually brought back to my earlier years is buy the thing you want, but don't buy something as a replacement. If you really like something, save up 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 5 years to get that watch. Rather than buy something that kind of looks similar, you'll buy it, it'll scratch the itch for maybe a week, and then you're going to start still wanting the one that you wanted.
Fantasizing about the one, yeah.
But then you don't have the budget anymore because you just spent it on something else.
Don't settle.
Don't settle.
Don't settle.
Take as much time as you need to put the money aside, but just go for what you really wanted.
That is, I've gone through that experience where I've had the money. I went to go and like pay for a watch, and last minute I pulled out because I knew that what I wanted was something that was maybe twice or 3 times the price, but every little bit. So I went to go and buy a Rolex Batman. I really liked the watch at the time. I still do partly, and I had the money.
My watch is based on a Batman.
I went and
It's not a Batman anymore.
It's not a Batman anymore, but it started.
Yeah, there we go. You have the Pepsi.
And last minute I pulled out and I said, you know what? I actually want the Centigraph. It's a lot more expensive.
Oh my God.
From the Batman to the
He
Centigraph.
said twice the price. Did you hear him?
I also
good times
said
when the
potentially 3.
Centigraph.
I don't know, but I, that's what I wanted.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to settle. I didn't like. Yeah, you have that urge to satisfy yourself, but it was just temporary.
I'm trying to figure out, like, was the Centigraph a special version with a GMT? Was the Batman a special chronograph version? Like, how did you go from, I really want a Centigraph, but like, I'll just settle with like a Batman?
I like the Batman, but the Centigraph, like, I like dress watches. Those always appeal to me. And
it's just how you, that jump, like
because
between those two.
I mean, look,
for no reason.
It took me over 12 years of collecting to buy my first Rolex. So, but I also didn't get a Batman.
Still not. But yeah, a lot of collectors, they have the itch for a watch, and they'll just go get something which they like a bit, rather than waiting 2-3 years to buy. But I think one thing is also try to, even though you have a lot of information today, you have a lot of wrong information available.
Yeah.
I think it's always interesting to, if you can, is find a kind of a mentor that can kind of help you out in the first few months, few years of your collecting journey. And that could be a trusted salesperson in a boutique. It could be a watch specialist. It could be a friend.
I've always been against this.
Why?
Believe it or not. I have always found, like, when you have like a mentor, or like a quote unquote leading figure in the industry or amongst your friend circle, you one way or another you end up kind of like falling into the same kind of thinking, right? You take more than what you develop on your own. And this is something like I feel that I've personally noticed, and I've always advocated against, like, don't look at what someone else is saying, don't blindly follow what someone else is saying, right?
Yep.
Listen to many opinions, okay? Perhaps yours, Osama's, mine, like anyone really.
But they can help
okay?
you. They're like, oh, I want to buy a vintage watch. If you don't know anything about vintage watches, you have no idea what you're supposed to look at.
No,
but that guy can come and say, he says, you know what? Make sure that the hallmarks are deep or visible. If not, it's polished.
So
to make sure the dial is like
when it
this.
comes to authenticating,
Not authenticating. You can have two perfectly authentic watches from the same period, but one is like totally washed out. You don't have the hallmarks. You don't have this. You don't have that. The other one is basically you need somebody who can tell you, have a look at this. Or, you know, I was starting my collecting journey, and one of a guy who had a boutique and who now has become one of my closest friends. I went to his boutique and I'm like, you know what? And he was selling Frank Mueller. I'm like, oh, I love Frank Mueller. I'm like, can I try it? He's like, no. I'm like, why not? He's like, no, you just came in, you were talking about buying a Vacheron Constantin. Now you want a Frank Mueller. I'm not going to sell you a Frank Mueller. This is just not. Like, why? He's like, well, because, you know, the movement is this, the design is that. And he took me through it. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's interesting. I was trying to get into a hype, and Frank Mueller was the hottest brand in the early 2000s. Huh? It was like Journe, Recep, and United. I mean, if you had a Frank Mueller, you were the king of the world. And he's like, no, look at the movement. It's an état. It's hardly finished. If you're looking for a more horological prowess, go through this. So I think sometimes it's good to have somebody who just points you to the right direction. They shouldn't impose their ideas.
That's the problem today. When you the word you use, like mentor, right?
Yeah.
Like to me, like this word has always been like more related to something like sensei or like master or like, you know, like someone who will basically show you the way. You know, like do not buy this.
No. Who can just point you out or answer your questions when you're lost.
Perhaps more of like a consultant, you know, like I can understand that, right? Like someone who you go and you trust, who has like a depth of knowledge with history or with like case making or with movement finishing, like someone who's known for that, okay, that you shouldn't necessarily like follow blindly, but just like take into consideration what they have to say, right?
Exactly.
So not to cut that flow, okay? I am curious to see what Osama thinks about mentorship or consultation when it comes to building your collection.
I don't think I've ever had a said mentor. More of people with this similar kind of interest within this hobby. For example, you both like the same kind of watches. And
perhaps someone is more advanced.
Yes, they have maybe a better attention to detail. So you're both discovering at the same time. And it's never a question of what should I get next? And then just listen. It's more of a discussion of a guide for both of you. Like we're talking about two similar watches and I'm trying to discover which one I want. And that's fine for me to keep to myself. Same for you. And it's just that continuous back and forth. Of course, there are people that contact me and they're close friends and they're like they want an opinion of how they should shape their collection. And I do help them, but I only do it in the sense of you get to decide. So you tell me what you're trying to choose between, and I won't tell you yes or no. I will tell you, I'll help you figure out which one you actually want.
Yeah, exactly. So you're not imposing your tastes. You're just answering questions and helping the guy, you know, see clear in what he wants.